Yo, what's going on, guys, and welcome to this commentary on the semifinals of the Total War League Season 5 games between me and Asseror. Yeah, it was a pretty good series, I guess. Don't know if I'm going to go over the finals, but it was pretty less good, but these games were pretty close, so let's see how they went. So, again, the rules are no rules except for no artillery, and the nomadic factions are banned, and you can't reuse any factions. So, I'm at a slight advantage over Sarah because I had a bye into the semifinals, whereas he had to play Bobby in the, I guess, quarterfinals. Those are actually some good games, might go over those as well. But yeah, so I have all my factions, minus the ones I used in the groups, but I didn't use any good factions in the groups. Neither did Sarah. But it didn't really end up mattering because we ended up agreeing on factions and matchups and stuff, so yeah. I suggested first a mirror, well, Sarah wanted to do a mirror. I suggested that we do like faction, like a matchup and then play both sides. But that was getting kind of hard because we didn't have that many factions overlapping that weren't good factions, so we decided to go for a mirror matchup. I suggested Arvasi, pretty interesting faction, so it's got a lot of tools, different approaches. He agreed, and so we went for that Arvasi mirror matchup. So let's go check it out. Yeah, we're playing on Pyramids for the first game, Nemesis Center for the second game, Dimity for the third. And so here we are. Let's go check out the armies. For my army, look for something I guess is pretty standard. I have 5 Cav, 4 Kel's Iberian Cav, 1 Noble Cav Gen. Up front for the sword line, I have Scutarii, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 Painted Warriors. Probably would go with more Painted Warriors if I had the money, but I was running out and I had to exchange a few Painted Warriors for Scutarii to make ends meet. But Scutarii will hold well, and they're less susceptible to like a frontal cav charge than the Painted Warriors, although they are still very susceptible to that kind of thing. Don't really like either infantry choice for RFSD very much. They're kind of lack in staying power. Obviously, even of course the Painted Warriors do, but the Painted Warriors don't have bows versus infantry. It's kind of frustrating. They do have scare. It's kind of nice for lowering enemy morale, but it would have been nice to see like 10 bonus at least versus infantry. Nice charge, high stats, no armor kind of deal. Actually, they have 45 armor, but it's mostly shield. Skitarii a bit better at holding, but they kind of don't go far enough. Like, Lusitania, at least those veteran shield warriors will absolutely tank out any melee engagement if they don't get shot, and they're very, very high attack and defense stats. But these guys are kind of just like middle of the pack, and like sword followers and tribals and chosen swords for the other barbarian factions are very good on the charge, and then they have good staying power, and they're not susceptible to charges. These guys are kind of just like worse at everything. They do cost less, but for 640 or whatever, 620, I'm not really getting a lot out of this Kutaria. The Painted Warriors, same thing, they cost a little more, and the Naked Warriors for 580 fulfill the role, or even the 480 ones for like the Galatia and those factions. I'd say fulfill the role of the shock infantry better than a 580 Painted Warrior with no attack against infantry. So yeah, Arvasi, not the greatest infantry choices. No noble fighters because they would just be kind of a target and they cost a lot. Really, yeah, I don't think when these no rules battles are up, I don't bring elite infantry almost ever. It's just not really worth it because you can just spam mid tiers. So there's my sword line. Yeah, 5 Scutarii, 2 Painted Warriors. Up front, 1 Iberian Spearman because I have the money. 2 Cantabrian Cav on the flanks here. And then Balearic Slingers, 3 of them, and 2 Iberian Slingers as well. So pretty missile heavy. Got the 5 Cav to back it up. Pretty weak infantry, but not super weak. I mean, at least it's 7 swords. And yeah, maybe I could have gone for less slinger power, more infantry power, because it is pyramids, and there are these big forests, but really all of our Avasi is pretty weak to missiles, and also there's potential for, enemy Balearics and stuff, so I thought this was fine. Felt like I had a good balance, and yeah, it's, pretty strong on all fronts. You got infantry power, you got cav power, and you got really good missiles. So let's go look at Asseror's army. He also has 2 Cantabrians out here. We were just dueling on the flanks here. Not much is going on. I lost one cav unit, or 1 cav guy, but that's really it. You can see him dead right there. But yeah, so 2 Cantabrians for Asseror. He has 5 Iberian Slingers, so that's also pretty normal. 5 Iberian Slingers in this sort of context is not bad at all, because they will really be able to just you know, soak up a lot of damage from these Blurks. And in the late game, if they survive and my Blurks don't, then they'll be able to do pretty good damage to these, you know, weak infantry units, weak against missiles. Yep, then he has 3 Celtiberian Cav, and the 2 Cav in the forest here are both Noble Cav, including his Gen, so 2 Noble Cav. Pretty strong, so he does out-Cav me, which is dangerous in my situation because I'm relying on my slingers, so I will need my Cav to protect them. And he has 5 slingers of his own, so if he can kill my Cav and kill my slingers, I'll be in big trouble. Up for his main line though, Scutarii, 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 so that's it, 1, 2, 5 Scutarii at least. 2 Scutarii spears, and then 1 more unit here, which I'm assuming is a Scutarii, but I'm not totally sure. I'm not really a big fan of the Scutarii spears, really. I don't know exactly what they're going to be used for, but I guess he didn't have the money. At least they can kill some Cav, and if they do that, they'll be very useful for his army composition because he has the Cav advantage. He'll be able to go after my slingers, all of that. So, let's get into it now. Still skirmishing on the flanks. Yep, normal stuff. Slinger War should be heavily in my favor. Got a few kills there. Gotta keep an eye on the stamina here. You can see I'm halting whenever possible. But he is putting the pressure on pretty heavily, so it's not always possible. I shift to this flank. I want to get him out of this forest as much as possible. Yeah, so I'm going to start the engagement over here. Hopefully these guys will have to run up and get out of the forest. That's the plan there. But yeah, active. His guys are active. Active and fresh, I would assume. Yeah, fresh. By the way, I'm walking over the flank again. No running because of the heat. Here, winded. So I thought I could kind of chase, but yeah, he's probably fast enough to get out there. Javelins will miss, of course. And now having the stamina advantage, winded against active, that's very nice. Active against fresh won't matter, but if he gets to winded, it will. So yeah, that's nice for me. And yeah, shift is coming. You see, he has to run a little bit here. I run as well now, just to get into position to start this Slinger War. Hopefully before he's set, but he is set in time, so it's not going to matter. This one Iberian Spear could be annoying, pushing back any units. I don't think he wants to take a javelin volley on his Cav to go and kill it, so you just have to send out his own infantry. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run it forward here and just kind of pressure these slingers. But Asseror wants none of that. He's just running forward here. So I'm going to keep my spacebar pushed so we can see the abilities I'm pressing here. Do I run my Cav? Yeah, running up. Everything's just going in. You can see I have the attack warriors already. Just going in. This Cav got very close here. I wanted to go after his slingers, but yeah, all my Cav is just in. These Iberian Spears just didn't even get a charge. You can see I'm pretty far away with my infantry just because I gave the order so early, but it means that I'm going to get these charges fully in. He's going to get a nice counter charge. Immediately focusing his slingers. One of his Scutarii is way out on the flanks here. That's not really necessarily so good for him, because it's way away from the fight. Weird engagement here where his Cav kind of gets stuck. Maybe it was kind of like a pull through there. Don't know why. This was weird. I mean, most of the unit gets there anyway. This Cav getting focused by my slingers. Painted Warrior comes in and will just absolutely toast the Scutarii Spear. Engagement's up and down the line. Maybe he gets the charge, but you can see the advantage of that charge. If we go over it quickly. Here his Cantabrians also, or his Celtiberians chased my Cav into my infantry that was running up after. Didn't really get a charge or anything. You can see 96 against 119, 115 against 96. Here, these Scutarii get absolutely pounded by his Cav, I think, so they're going to maybe lose. But it's only a Scutarii Spear on the other side, and his other unit is way out of position here. So, overall, these engagements looking pretty good for me. He also has a Scutarii at 96 over here, so overall he's losing about 25 men on all his units. He's losing like an entire Cav unit here because of this weird engagement that happened where his Cav chased into my other guys that got a javelin volley and the slingers just shot it up. So now I'm flanking on this side where I have enough extra Cav. Here, nice charge. We both kind of get charges into the infantry. Scutarii down to 103, Painted Warriors. Kind of just ignore this Cav that's like charging them in the back to get into this Scutarii, but both are going to be losing significant numbers. But my slingers are doing a good job focusing his Cav. I lose about almost an entire Cav here as well, but he's also losing another Cav here. I get a nice rear charge here where he doesn't have any Cav to block me out, so I'm going to instantly start winning the infantry war a bit more pronounced. I'm also getting into his Cav and dealing it more Cav damage. So Sorry, so this initial charge for me was very aggressive, but it was very good because it pinned his cav for my slingers and it got into his infantry because I really wasn't expecting it, I don't think. It was just kind of out of the blue. It wasn't even well timed, I would say, but the reason why that was good was because the bad timing didn't really give him a anticipation for it. So you can see his noble cav here down to 16, Celtibrian 36, General 48, not bad, but I have a cav in here, it's gonna die. This one's kind of low as well. But I have a full cav here, pretty much 45. My general has been untouched, so the cav advantage is in my favor. And now the slingers are really coming into play, just forcing his cav out. Here he does have a Scutari cav though. I'm charged with my general, probably not great. I'm trying to hit his general with my slinger, so they're actually getting quite close to his spears here, so I'm going to have to fall back. The good thing for me is that there's not really a big threat, because my infantry is actually overrunning his because of how good that charge was. So this is just completely winning at this point. Yeah, see, the cav fight was actually pretty close, but pretty close is good in my case because I was really out, you know, outmatched in the cav department. So, yeah, having it be close is fine for me. My slingers, very healthy here, not taking a lot of losses at all, pretty much all at 90. And obviously they're much better than his slingers. And then the cav battle, yeah, going down here, 22 versus 12, he's going to kill me here. I've got support coming. Cantabrian cav, I also charged his Cantabrian cav and killed it off on both flanks. Um, well, still alive here, but it's at 32. His noble cav charges in here, but my Celtibrians are much healthier. Now I just go after his slingers. I have lots of infantry left. My general and a Scutari finish off his Scutari spears, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just a matter of cleaning up the slingers now, which won't be an issue, of course. Here, yeah, Celtibrian's winning. Infantry, very healthy. Not much to really do here. So, yeah, that's just a pretty clean example of how getting that double charge, or it wasn't even really a double charge, it was mostly just like right into his infantry. His cavalry does get the counter charge, but in my case this was very good because, first of all, well, I'll just let it go and play, obviously this is over. Because yes, he gets a counter charge into my cav, it's potentially bad, but it knocked over his infantry took about 30 losses or 25 losses, and his countercharge comes in, it's not going to do a lot of damage immediately. It will do HP damage and all that, but my infantry was close enough. It wasn't very close on the follow-up, just from a pure micro perspective. It was pretty much impossible to run up my infantry with charging all 5 of my cav, or 4 of my 5 cav, obviously not my gen, immediately into the fight at such a weird timing where I couldn't, like, show it immediately. That's what I wanted to do. I saw his infantry was exposed. I just want to get in there. And so he gets the counter charge, but my infantry is following up close enough to at least get into his cav a little bit if he wants to stay in that fight. My cav is also retreating, so it's going to force his cav to chase into my infantry, or they take javelins, and then my infantry follows up with a nice charge onto his infantry. And that's obviously completely winning just because of the HP damage from the charge of my cav. It could have been a little, like, the timing wasn't perfect, so he could have potentially gotten a second charge into my infantry with his cav after my cav was starting to retreat and my infantry was pulling up. That's possible. But the thing is, his cav is going to be more depleted than mine was when it was hitting his infantry, because mine was completely full strength when it hit his infantry, right? Just came right in for the start of the battle. He'll have been in melee with my cav, being shot by my slinger, so then he comes in and he takes a javelin volley from my infantry. So, worst case scenario, he gets a counter charge into my infantry. The infantry both are depleted, so they kind of cancel each other out, right? Both are going to get kind of a hit from the cav and then charge in, and then both are going to die. But I'm shooting his cav with my elite slingers the whole time, or more elite slingers anyway, and so they're going to be doing massive damage to his cav, and he's going to be taking a lot more javelin volleys and all that because my infantry is falling up rather than being hit. So that's the advantage for me. If I can take his cav out, then I don't really care if his infantry ends up winning against mine. I have the slingers to deal with it. So, yeah, that was the thinking behind that. So, 1-0 for me. And now we decided to do something different for the next 2 games. Because we agreed on a matchup. Eventually we found it was very hard because we kept trying to find matchups, and I'd be like, oh no, I can't do that because I've already used this faction, and I would suggest something, he'd be like, shit, no, I can't because I used this faction already. Because you have to have not used both the factions in the matchup, otherwise you can't play both sides. So finally, I suggested Nervii versus Getai, and we agreed on a max for Horse Archer limit to not spam them, because that would probably be winning. But yeah, 4 horse archers, so you have a horse archer advantage against the 3 jab cav for Nervii, because otherwise Geta is worse than Nervii if it isn't for the horse archers. So yeah, you get that advantage, but you have worse infantry, less options there, worse spears, worse cav. Yeah, so more expensive missiles that don't really give you much of an advantage. So yeah, good on Nervii, you'll play both sides, and obviously if I win both sides, then I win. It's best of 5. But if not, if it's like 1-1 or 2-0 for Asseror, then we'll go and figure out something for the next matchup. So let's get into the first side. I told him he could pick the side. He picked Nervii, which is probably the stronger side, so good choice. And I brought out a very interesting army that actually used against Asseror in some practice games. I'm pretty sure it was Asseror. Could have been someone else. But he had Iceni, whoever it was, had Iceni in that game. I brought this exact Getai army, and now it's Nervii, definitely stronger than Iceni, so a little different. But let's look at the army. So the core here is 4 noble swords, including the gen. That's obviously a lot of money invested into those units, but the thing is that they will hold, and it's 4 of them, so they can hold an entire line. My general is very far back in reserve because I don't want him to die. That would be very, very bad because the rest of my infantry, the rest of my army is low quality. So the other part of my army is 6 Volksmen, and you can see they're all behind so they don't get charged because Volksmen getting charged is very bad. 6 Volksmen, so they're just there literally to do damage on the charge. And I can cycle with the other Volksmen and cycle in my noble sword, so hopefully maximize the number of charges with the Volksmen. The other good thing about the Volksmen is they will absolutely trash cavalry units if they don't get charged. Even if they get charged, they're still going to do a lot of damage to Cav because of the Rampaya and its bonus versus large. So I want to deal with this Cav because I realize that I'm at a significant cavalry disadvantage, 1 for 1, and potentially numbers wise. I only have 3 spear horsemen. He, fortunately for me, only has 3 mighty horse, but even then, it's still a massive cavalry advantage for him. Let's go into slow motion here. So yeah, that's big. The Foxman can help in that regard, and they can just do damage on the charge, HP damage, because I have a lot of missile power. I have 4 horse archers, as I said, and 3 station heavy bows, which really can focus down key targets. And obviously, the key will be the general and any other elite infantry. You can see an Oathsworn and a 3rd Oathsworn here. So the Falksman, HP damage, high kills on the charge, high impact there. Then you cycle in the Noble Swords to hold, and then you get the Falksman out on the flanks, just like trying to mess these Celtic warriors up and stuff. With the help of the Cav and the Horse Archers and the bows, will start shooting any key targets. So, yeah, that's my army. Now let's go look at Asseror's army. He's got 3 Jav Cav here, Scout Riders. Very useful in this matchup. Pretty sure you should bring them. Against Geta, you need something to counter the Horse Archers, otherwise it's just going to be a mess. Focusing this Celtic Warrior here just because, like, it was, you know, in range. You don't want to use too much ammo, but if I can weaken a few of these meat shields, then the Falksman charges will just be absolutely devastating. So, there's main line here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Celtic Warriors. Not bad. 1, 2, 3 Oathsworn. Not bad again. Yeah, this is probably normal. You don't want to bring too many Fierce Swords, in my opinion. It's just not worth the cost. Celtic Oath spam is probably a bit better. Because against Getai, you're not really going to see any mid-tier infantry of theirs. So it's fine to just spam Celtics, which are in theory better than Falksmen, and then Oathsworn, which are in theory better than Noble Swords. So that's definitely a valid idea. He also has 2 Fierce Swords back here, and they can help because they can really overrun loads of Falksmen because they're just, you know, mid-tiers versus cheapy Falksmen. So they can help. But he only has 3 Mighty Horse, like I said, 3 Celtic Slingers, which could be good. They can shoot down my Dacian Heavy Bows because my Dacian Heavy Bows really can't afford to shoot the Celtic Slingers. And yeah, the 3 Job Kept, like I said, so not a bad army for Asseror at all. It's got a lot of infantry power for me to deal with Falkland and 4 Noble Swords, but I do have 4 Noble Swords to 3 Oathsworn, so that's pretty big. And the Horse Archers against the Jab Cav will be a massively important deal. These Horse Archers can get caught in the mid game because they're very slow, and the Jab Cav obviously way better in melee. Here, Asseror came out for a charge, but sort of realized this was a bad idea, which it would have been an absolutely terrible idea to do that, and so fortunately he does retreat. But he's catching up to me. I was just running away, trying to skirmish with the Horse Archers a bit. Wasn't really getting much of anything. Here he also got a Jab Volley. I kill some in return, but It's not really a good trade. Here in the middle, you can see I'm focusing his cav with my archers. This is good. Falksman, you can see here he's gonna run away. But I will hit something here. Not a great charge by any means. Actually, it's just okay. I get a charge into this unit, so it ends up being a good charge after the third charge. And here comes the Falksman in on the charge. You can see my guys are getting absolutely molested there by his cav on the charge, 30 to 35. But I'm pouring fire in there. My Falksmen are coming in, so this is fine. Here you can see the Falksmen on the charge. Let's see how many kills they get. They even get javelin volleys. So they're down to they lose a lot of men on the charge here. But you can see his mighty horse are still in this fight, so they're going to get eaten up by the Falksmen. These Celtics got charged, so they're going to get eaten up. And the Falksmen, even though it's surrounded, got javelin, he's still going to come in here and do a lot of damage here on the charge. Same thing over here, cav charge into the Celtics. You see, he didn't lose any men. I think he actually went right into his mighty horse, so he prevented me from getting into his Celtics. But Falksmen follow up onto Celtics will be, and even mighty horse. You can see they have 12 kills and only one Celtic has died, so that means they killed like 10 of these mighty horse. Very nice. This Falksman will die with 20 kills. I kind of got overwhelmed. Here I use my mighty horse again into another Celtic, getting these Falksmen in. And here's what I want to do. I want to blob at him as much as possible. These blobs are excellent for me because my noble swords will come in there and just hold forever in those fights. Fortunately, Asseror does a good job there. He unblobs very quickly. Here you can see cycling my Falksmen, cycling 2 more Falksmen here. Very crucial because it's going to allow my Falksmen to get more charges on these spear swords. You see, I see this Celtic trying to break through, but it's already one that's taken damage to that initial Falksman charge, so it's going to get absolutely crushed. It's also winded. It's going to get absolutely crushed by this Falksman, but Asseror does a nice job here, moving his cav in, potentially targeting these Falksmen. I have, like, no cav back here. I already lost one Spear Horse. He's basically lost 2 Mighty Horse, though, so that's not good. Oh, this one's still alive. So here's a big mistake. He was javelining me here, but he really could have charged. I don't think I was going to have the micro. I would be able to run back to the Spear Horseman, but I could potentially lose a Horse Archer. I am anyway losing about 20 men, so that's not good. Here, yeah, Falksman charge on a Celtic, which already got charged by the Spear Horse. Just devastating. Super effective. This Noble Sword was red, so I thought it was like getting absolutely hammered, but it was actually doing fine. So I shouldn't have popped Headhunt here. I just thought it was like losing really badly, but it was actually 93 men, so that was unnecessary. But the Headhunt will help here. The problem is it just can't get second winded. My general's too far away. This Noble Swords is in a massive blob here. This is good for me. You can see my archers are shooting his cav up, and now he's pretty much out of cav. Melee cav it is. I'm also pretty much out of cav, so yeah, here he did chase me with his Germanic Scout Rider, but my heavy horse, or spear horse, sorry, was in time to pretty much save these guys. Yeah, I lost a good amount of men on one horse archer. But over here also, I'm getting into his guys with my remaining cav units, shooting him. Here this Oathsworn is at 78 men. Here comes the Falksman at 63. I do pull back just to get a charge with my cav there. Here his cav does bust up the center. He have a decent amount of numbers here. They could go after my archers, but they can see my archers are sniping his gens down to 85. My general was untouched and got a counter charge into this whole blob. It's just absolutely racking up the kills. 60 kills already. Very nice. But this is a problem because I don't have any anything to kill his archers, his cav with. It goes for frenzy charge as well, so they're going to do maximum damage to these archers. Just use quick reloads, so they're also tired, and this could be potentially game losing if these archers all die. I literally have no cav anywhere nearby to stop this, but his cav are very small, 21, 11, and 20, so it's about 1 full unit's worth of cav in here. And they're also running kind of through my Falksmen, so they're not getting the best charge. So the only thing I have here to stop them with is my 4 horse archers. But the infantry battle is actually going quite well. 100 versus 111 on these noble swords. My general taking the center fight, and these noble swords and Falksmen. You can see Falksmen on the charge, massacring this Oathsworn. 30 kills. It was on 70, now it's on 38. So yeah, a good 40 kills there from the Falksmen on the charge. My cav is going down. I have this 1 spear horseman left though, and that's going to pretty much save me here. Since it's going to finish off these cav. But frenzy charge is over. It wasn't able to quite finish off the bowmen, and the nice thing about these Nation heavy bowmen is they will survive with their nice armor. And so finally they're going to survive. My bow horse did a nice job just shooting up his cav the whole time they were in this fight and just preventing them from doing anything. And now it's quite a close battle. He's got winning infantry over here. He's got this Celtic which could rear charge me here. But I have my 4 horse archers alive. Very crucial to keep those guys alive. And my bows. He does have, though, the only melee cav basically on the field, this 2 Germanic Scout Riders. It's really bad that, really unfortunate anyway, that he lost his other 2, because then I would be in big trouble. Wouldn't really be able to protect my archers very effectively. But these archers are now able to just focus down this general. don't know why, maybe he doesn't have second wind for some reason, but his general's going to go down. Here's Celtic's got a nice recharge on my Noble Sword, so he's winning in this fight, but my bow horse are going to make a, good effort here in just rear-shotting their, the Oathsworn. So that's going to be turn that fight in my favor. I have to be careful though. I can't get near the Scout Riders. My general wins, but again, he has a lot of infantry left. He has all of his slingers left. So it's definitely not over since my bow horse are pretty low on ammo. These guys are pretty low on ammo, and they can't really go into melee. But my general is very healthy at 98, and that should be the key. If I can just keep my bow horse from getting caught by these Scout Riders and keep this one cavalry unit alive to protect the archers, then I should be fine. He goes into head on here, but nice kills from the bow horse. If they survive in the late game and the Scout Riders don't, then yeah, then you're in trouble as Getai, because those horse archers will just absolutely destroy units from the back. Here he actually does get in pretty close on my bow horse, but I just run away, shooting this unit, and if it takes a lot of losses, then it's no longer able to destroy the spear horse and save his guys. And these bow horse, they don't need to be, good in melee to kill slingers, so they can absolutely do that. He's focusing down my Noble Sword with his slingers, so they're taking some damage, but he's still so healthy, he's gonna survive. He was trying to shoot this unit, but he just charged it. So yeah, bow horse have to run away here. Archer's gonna finish off these Oathsworn, so very nice job from the archers. And now he only has this one Mercenary Dramatic Scout Rider. And I'm slowly, once this one dies, I'm slowly going to surround his slingers. Plus my archers can help in melee, obviously. And the general is going to survive with 75 men in the unit, so should be enough. But yeah, this battle was really close. I think it really came down to him just missing a few micro mistakes with his Scout Riders here, and here he just lost 2 units to my Cav, melee charging them for free. Here he has to go in to save the slingers, but the Scout Riders are not going to enjoy this fight. They might win, but I'm just shooting them with my archers now, and the slingers are going to go down. So yeah, also this Noble Sword, yeah, easily won when the horse archers just shot it in the back, and yeah, everything routes, and that's GG. So yeah, very, very, very close battle. Really interesting Getai army, I think, with the Falksmen and the Noble Swords. You don't really have a better option, because Axe Warriors against Nervii, Axe Warriors are a great unit in general, but against Nervii, they're pretty useless, because Celtics don't have a lot of armor, Fierce Swords don't have a lot of armor, only good against Oathsworn, and the Celtics can just do a lot of damage to them. They will beat the Celtics, but you're paying a lot more for them, and then your Oathsworn are just way better than Noble Swords, so, and the Cav advantage, of course, so I went for all Falksmen. They seem to plug the gaps of what I needed, just like doing damage to allow these Noble Swords to hold for longer, and also killing Cav. Obviously, they have massive weaknesses, so it's not like they're a perfect fit by any means, but they did their job. Look at the kills here, 95, 50, so I'd say on average about 50 kills for the Falksmen. And so, that's not bad. It's mostly, they got a lot of Cav kills, they got a lot of Celtic Warrior kills, and if he kills those units off, then I'm in better shape, because I have these archers to focus down his Oathsworn. And, this HP damage that they're doing really helps these archers finish off units, helps finish off their Cav, and all that. Horse archers did really nice, great kills in the back of his Oathsworn, and also killing his Cav. Maybe I didn't really point out in the battle, but when his Cav retreated from the initial YOLOs, my horse archers were there to pounce and shoot his Cav down just that extra bit to make them very weak, and that practically saved my archers in the late game. So very useful. Horse archers, always a great unit. Just lucky, or fortunate for me that these Scout Riders kind of got caught early in the battle, which just gave these horse archers so much free reign. Nothing to screen them off, and that's when they're going to do their absolute best work. My general kept in reserve and just absolutely toasted his blob with his general and a Celtic and Fierce in it, just absolutely destroyed it, and finished off the remnants of his other infantry. Other Noble Swords did well. Of course, they were outnumbered, outgunned, but they held for a very long time, which is good. And for Asseror, those weren't good kills. His general, though, probably committed a bit too early, and that allowed me to get that snipe on his gen, and that's huge. Slingers did well. Obviously, they can always shoot Falksmen, and Cav and Horse Archers, all very, very weak to missiles, so yeah, but the Scout Riders definitely cost him the game by losing them. Cav, he was also maybe a bit too aggressive with his Cav, or they just lost too many men. Like, I don't have too many precursor javelins, so they shouldn't really be losing that many men. And they were all pretty much under 20 men by the time that the second phase of the battle began after the initial YOLOs. So yeah, that was probably not ideal. Celtics getting good kills, Fierce Swords okay kills, Chevron, so yeah, not bad. So now I get to go to Nervii, should have the advantage in this one, and if I win, I finish off the series. One actually, yeah, Safado told me the same thing, that we took very similar armies. Actually, I didn't even realize this, but we both made exactly the same adjustment, which is funny. So let's look at the armies. So I literally have this exact same army, except I have one less Fierce Sword and one more Mighty Horse, one more Slinger, and one less Celtic, I believe. So if we look at the armies here, so yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Celtics instead of 6, 3 Oathsworn same, 1 Fierce Sword instead of 2, 4 Mighty Horse though, and 4 Celtic Slingers with the 3 same jab cap. So yeah, literally I added 1 Mighty Horse, added 1 Slinger, and subtract a Fierce and a Celtic. I think the numbers add up pretty well like that. Nothing else changed. So very similar army. But I really think the cav advantage is pretty important for Nervii. To take 4 cav, you really, especially if Nervii or Gala goes for 3 cav, you really just overrun them with the cav, go after the archers pretty much immediately. It's like very rush heavy with the jav cats pushing back the horse archers. There's not a lot Gala should be able to do, but Asseror has also made a very similar change. He's got 4 Spear Horsemen, so at least he'll be able to hold. He's also gone with this Falksman concept, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Falksmen, 2 Dacian Heavy Bowmen, 1 regular Dacian Bow, 4 swords, noble swords, and 4 horse archers. So he's traded a Falksman and a heavy bow for a Dacian bow and a Spear Horseman, and I guess the math just works out. I guess I had a little bit of extra funds as well, because I had 2 Falksman Chevron, so yeah, the math probably works out there. It must. So yeah, so he's going to be out missiled, but again, it's not really worth my Slinger shooting his bows all that much. Maybe the Dacian bow. I'll skirmish with them if he allows me to at the start, but pretty soon I'm going to have to start shooting, Falksmen and noble swords and cav. Infantry-wise, should be fine for me. Like, again, Falksmen gonna lose to the Celtics unless they get a perfect engagement, and even then, the Celtics' 1 javelin volley will pretty much seal their fate. So they've got to get the good YOLOs out, and I've been winning those for most of the series, it seems, so that's good. Here I've got a Slinger helping this 1 jav cav. Over here it's 2 versus 2, so it's fine. But man, my plan was just like to all-out aggress. I've got the second line of the 3 Oath Sword and the 1 Fierce Sword. He's got, of course, 4 Elite Swords. I only have 3, but it shouldn't really matter, because as soon as I get in here and just start winning these other engagements with the Celtics against the Falksmen, I got this Fierce Sword, which could tie down a Noble Sword, stuff like that. And my aggression with my Cav and these Jav Cavs should be important. So let's see how it goes. Obviously, it's not impossible for this to not work. I say Asseror was pretty aggressive in the last game, and it didn't work. So yeah, I'm shooting his heavy bowman here, shooting his station bowman since they don't have any armor. They should die pretty fast. Not taking any losses, so yeah. You can see the aggression coming forward from Asseror's Cav. I almost didn't think he was going to go for this, so I was a bit slow in even responding to it. And it doesn't go. I was happy. I was really gonna say, like, I will let him charge like Celtic. If I can javelin it and counter charge, then that's worth it, because Cat will just be so weak, it won't matter. Here, yeah, I've got the attack orders. I really feel like Asseror should have just gone here. Maybe he's a little hesitant when he shouldn't have been. See, my jab kept just pushing his horse archers are far away. So I'm just like all out aggression here. All my cav have attack orders, pretty much. My infantry is getting attack orders right now. You can see it's going down. Nice charge in here. He's going to get really nice Falksman follow-up. I do hit his Falksman, but it doesn't really matter. They're going to get in here and start killing my Cavs. So this isn't great. I'm pretty far back, but my Celtics will then kill his Falksman. This charge is very good. No counter from him. And the Falksman just eat that charge. They are medium, which means they won't really take it as bad as like a naked sword. Well, they really should. Let's see. They get 8 kills on my Cav already. So this is really, yeah, it's falling. The timing was not great. Here he has a random Spear Horse on the flank here, so I should have an extra Cav somewhere. I do, it's on this flank. But yeah, this cav ties down all these units. You can see it's starting to lose men to the Falksmen, though. The Falksmen only lose 30 men. That's that mass coming into play. Here, I'm a bit exposed here with this Celtic. But, yeah, so it's gonna go. It will get a javelin volley, though, into the Falksmen. I believe it already did. Or not. Oh no, it's coming now. It's gonna be a perfect javelin volley from point blank into the back of these Falksmen. 109, and they lose almost 30 men, so 25 men. The Spear Horse is in my back, but I'm already pulling my cav up. 42, 42, 56, so didn't lose too many men. Here again, nice timing on this charge. Celtic follow-up is very close. These Falksmen got charged. They're just going to get owned by the Celtics, even though they did good damage to my cav. They're just going to get absolutely toasted. But again, that's not too bad. It's sort of a similar situation where if his cav gets around healthier, but the problem is my cav is very far out, and his sports archers aren't in position to shoot them because I'm just holding on the flank here. Here he's going to go after this Celtic warrior. It's pretty isolated, so yeah, he can get a counter charge with this Falksman, but yeah, might still lose. He's getting nice sports archer shots, but these cav are isolated and they're just going to get destroyed by my Jav cav here. You can see my cav already has an attack warrior. Here I saw like this noble sword didn't have any other support with it, so I'm just going to run away with my Fierce Sword and my Celtic. There's no point in engaging here. Two of his Noble Swords here blown up on the Celtic, so I'm going to fall back and now countercharge in here with two of my own oaths. It's a bit risky to have my general in here, but you can see he doesn't actually have much archer presence on this flank. His horse archers are far away, and I have a lot of support that can bust through and pressure his archers if they start to snipe me. It's still a bit risky, but I had to commit here. His cavalry breaking through in the center, so at the moment it's not really bad for Asseror. He's got, well, one bad thing is that I'm going to get into his horse archers here, but he has a cav here to stop that potentially. He has Falksman in reserve, but the problem is he lost his Falksman very quickly, and I didn't really blob up as much as he did. So now I have a lot of reserve units. He's lost his Falksman, and of course they're going to die, but he's not tying down as many units. Basically, I had all of his units tied down. He never had units running into my rear, and I don't have that yet, but you can see 3 units are free here, 1 unit to block them. So I'm not blobbing up for his noble swords to get better kills. I'm trading his cav like pretty evenly. 30 here, 27 here. 3 of my cav here with 42, 56, and 57, so very healthy cav here. He has a full cav, a mostly full cav, and a 45. So yeah, we're trading pretty evenly with cav, but I'm not losing the cav fight, and my cav 1 for 1 are better, so it's going to be down to his force archers to improve that situation. I'm shooting his cav with my slingers, so they might get pushed back here, just because his cavalry is very far away. And over here, yeah, he might be doing well in this fight because I just isolated this unit. That was kind of a mistake, but it should be fine. I'm getting my mighty horse in here. You can see he does have his bow horse here to shoot it up, so the engagement's just terrible overall because this Falksman will just own my mighty horse here. So this unit's dead, but my Jav cav are in a nice position. I get a nice frenzied charge here with my Fierce Swords. Get that 57 charge bonus. Frenzy is a really underrated ability, I think. When you have a unit that's just gonna, you don't want to use it. See, the problem would be like if you're using Fierce Swords as your mid-tier line, it might not be worth it to use it because as soon as Frenzy's over, they're gonna get exhausted or very tired or whatever, and they're gonna be very useless. But when you have up against Noble Swords here, where you know they're gonna lose, having the ability to just do a massive charge instead of like the normal charge is excellent. Because you're gonna do so much damage on the charge. They're gonna lose, but you've done your damage to this noble sword that you wouldn't otherwise do. So yeah, if you're gonna get a clean charge, Frenzy is very powerful. 57 charge is just pretty insane. Weapon damage increasing as well, so that's very nice. Up from probably 35, or no, maybe 40. Is it really? No, it's got. Let's see. So the weapon damage is 36 and 5 for the Celtics. It might be 30. Well, yeah, 36 and 4. So let's see if they have the same sword, because that doesn't look like a 1 increase, but it might be. So yeah, at least increasing the AP on the sword as well. But just the charge bonus is insane. 57, super sick. So you're gonna do a lot of damage. Anyway, yeah, Jav cav gonna do a lot of damage to his spear horse. This is bad for me, but at least I do some damage back, so I pretty much kill off his spear horseman and do damage to this one. Over here, his spear horseman gets isolated, so I'm hitting it with 2 of mine. He did kill one of my scout riders though, so Asseror is still holding on. The problem is, though, I got into this fight, and you can see my reserves. Like I said, I had 3 units here. All of his Falksmen are dead, so now, and my Celtic survives, so now I'm just flanking. Here I pulled out this Oathsworn, let my general fight here. It is taking a lot of damage for it, but now I'm going to get a side charge here. I got like rear charge with the Celtic, it did rout, but it got a nice damage, 85 against 85, so close in the center. This battle is definitely still up for grabs, like, no idea who, like, could definitely go both ways, basically. But the problem is his cav is dying here, his archers don't have the protection. Again, when Sarah was going for my archers, I was able to stop him. Here, he doesn't have any sort of protection at all for my cav. I've basically killed more of his cav. Or his cav is just not in position to protect his archers. My slingers are very far away. I'm like, if you want to chase them, you can chase them all out here and be tired. But yeah, the collapse now comes in. So basically, by not blobbing at all, I was able to get a better engagement on his noble swords and pressure. You can see Celtic Warrior here helping kill off his cav. Yeah, it wasn't blobbed, so the noble swords could block all my infantry. Instead, I had units flanking, coming through the gaps, and pressuring his shit, and surrounding his noble swords, which was much better. And also, my cav ended up being healthier. His bow horse weren't able to do anything. And again, I didn't lose to Jav Cav randomly. I think that was key. Because these Jav Cav, you can see, are going to chase after his archers. And he does kill this Skyrider pretty easily with his Spear Horseman. But again, they were out of position, not really in time to do anything about it. And that was the big difference. Plus, my cav was very healthy, so they were able to do more damage to his archers before he can really shoot them up. Whereas his cav was like 20 or less. So very, very similar battles, but I think I just executed it slightly better. Didn't lose as many units early on, especially the Jav cav. I did lose one, but one more was enough to really get into his archers. And my melee units were much better, so you can see here his general finally going to go down to the second charge of this Oathsworn. It is tired, but my general pulls out here. All my Oathsworn were just winning easily. And now I'm just going to kite a bit here and not lose my gen or anything. His archer's getting nice shots in this blob, but it won't matter. Falksman gets recharged. Does route one slinger, but it doesn't really matter. My slingers are healthier, and I have cav left on the field. And infantry. So yeah, 3-0, but really these two games I felt like were very excellent. The first one was kind of clinical in terms of me just using the charge to to a much better degree. But these last two games were very close, very, very similar armies as well. Slight modifications from both of us in the second game on each other's armies. But yeah, very close, and it really could have gone either way. I think just a few key mistakes from Asseror that I didn't make in the second game cost him his Nervii performance, which, yeah, was really close. Yeah, and you can see the losses and the kills here are very, very similar. But in the end, I was able to get after his cav. He was forced to commit his bow horse without them doing as much damage. You can see nice kills on the bow horse, but not as valuable kills. They were mostly more on my infantry, my Celtics. So, yeah, not as good. Oathsworn just dominating. Yeah, Noble Sword's not a match. You can see, look at the kills on the Noble Swords. They got surrounded. They didn't get charges. Was a key thing as well. Like the two Noble Swords in the center, it was this General and whatever other one. Both got charged at Celtic Warrior. I pulled that Celtic Warrior out and then charged into my own Oathsworn. Of course, Oathsworn are going to do excellently in engagements where they get a charge and the other units don't. Especially when you're facing inferior infantry like these Noble Swords. So, yeah, Falksman kills, you can see some of his Falksman doing well, but on average a bit less kills for them. And again, that's because some of them just got smashed by my cav. They did some damage to the cavalry units, but not enough to justify it, I guess. And then his archers, decent kills on his archers, but again, not as valuable as my archers, which sniped his gen. My slingers didn't really do very much. They got decent kills, but yeah, they were shooting his cav a little bit, which I guess is good. Draft cav, not great kills, but again, they set up that endgame phase where he had to sacrifice his bow horse and his cav to stop my Jav cav from killing his archers, and then I just shot up his cav, charged them with my mighty horse, and two of them survived. You can see nice kills on the mighty horse, except for the one that I wasted on the right flank. But yeah, my Celtics did very well, except for a couple that just got owned. Fierce Sword did fine, 84 kills, but again, those are kills into a Noble Sword, so you're going to have to take those kills with the Frenzy. Very nice. But anyway, yep, nice series from the semifinals. There were actually a lot of good series in the playoffs of this tournament. Um, I might get to some of them. I have the replays for Bobby versus Asseror. I don't for Safato versus Lennon, which I would really like to watch because it was a 5-game series, very epic. Yeah, really went down to the wire. So that might be on the a future video, hopefully, because it was quite good. But anyway, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Peace.